Hello there, and happy May Day. May Day, May Day. We're at the beach. It's beautiful. How about that? We are here at Titlow Beach Park. There's people out enjoying the beautiful weather. You can see the bridge in the background, letting you know we are on the Tacoma side of Tacoma, Washington. Our office is over in Gig Harbor on the other side, but we're enjoying exploring a new beach today. So thanks for those of you tuning in. We are, I don't know, I'm out here with Rachel, so I'm gonna flip the camera. Hi, Rachel.
Howdy.
And yeah, we are just enjoying a beautiful low tide today. There's some dramatic clouds in the distance, but the sun is peeking through, and again, we have the beautiful bridge out in the background, and we're kind of just poking around in these eelgrass beds, of course being careful not to step on them, but looking for some fun critters to share with you all today as we explore the low tide. So Rachel, are you finding anything? I'm finding some flowering eelgrass, which is one of the few true plants that we find in the Salish Sea. All this other stuff that looks kind of planty is seaweed, and it has its own domain of life. There's the red algae, like this Turkish towel here, the green algae, like this sea lettuce, and brown algae, like this sargassum. And then the eelgrass is a beautiful plant, so it actually has the structures like a root system, or rhizomes in this case, and then a stem and leaves. And for this piece of eelgrass here, if I can flip it around one-handed, we're looking for the spot where it has its little seed pods, which I'm having trouble finding. But they're there, I promise. Okay. If you look very closely, can you kind of see, it almost looks like wheat, those little seeds. So yeah, eelgrass is a flowering plant here in the saltwater, which is pretty rad. As far as edible seaweeds go, most of them are. The sea lettuce is definitely one of them. I don't know that I would eat the Turkish towel and other things. Bull kelp, I've personally made bull kelp salsa before, and that just kind of goes with your shellfish harvesting license. And make sure you're covering the seaweed there if you are going to harvest seaweed and other animals from the sea, or living things, because I guess technically I don't want it to sound like algae is an animal. It's its own domain of life. All right, this is a cool find.
This is a cool find because this tells me that there are really big snails here, called moon snails. This is the egg collar, because it kind of looks like you could wear it as a collar. But this is extruded by the snail, and it's made of sand and mucus with a layer of eggs in the middle. And a lot of people think this is trash, and they'll pick it up and collect these off the beach thinking that, it's some sort of industrial debris, or it's gaskets or pottery or something. But this is made by a snail, and there's about 500,000 baby eggs inside here. And what'll happen is they will, this will break apart over the next, 5 or 6 weeks or so, and the little baby snails will pop right out of there.
Whew.
And maybe one will make it to an adult snail to make their own egg.
Yeah, and thank you for those of you who are out there sharing our video, inviting your friends to come on this low tide beach adventure with myself, Stina, and Rachel, looking at cool things like this egg collar from a beautiful moon snail, which hopefully you can come across. But I'm noticing now that I've seen one, I'm looking, and here's another, and some more. Okay, now they're just all over the place. So that's pretty cool. And of course, if you want to let us know where you're watching from, or if you have any questions as we go along, we're just going to be kind of poking around and looking at strange things like this sea cauliflower here. This is a brown algae. Again, we have the red, green, and brown represented all on one rock from the sea lettuce, which some of it kind of looks bleached out. So when seaweed dies, here's kind of another organism that looks a little bit like trash when really it's a, not trash. It kind of has that resemblance of a plastic bag here. But it is indeed just bleached out seaweed. Let's see, tips for finding moon snails. That's a good question. We have a couple different videos showing Rachel's tried and true method, where we look for kind of a spot in the sand that has a crack in it, where the water's settled and there's something moving underneath. This beach area is pretty rocky, so I'm not seeing, but I know that's somewhere deep in our TikTok feed. But yeah, we have, well, Rachel said she'll post, we have another video because we like to excavate moon snails.
3-minute videos now.
Now we have 3-minute videos. So it's pretty. But we can go for 3 minutes. And just shout out to, we've got all sorts of people tuning in from the Netherlands, Illinois, Los Angeles, Mexico, all sorts of cool stuff. And those moon snails, definitely not dangerous, more delightful in the fact that they are just so slimy and delightful.
As, like, raw chicken that can move. So if you've ever handled a chicken breast from the fridge, it's about the same temperature, and if that could like crawl, that's what it feels like.
Yeah, we've got lots of Pennsylvania people, Florida, Quebec, Hawaii. So fun to have you all tuning in. We're, of course, here on the beach in Tacoma, Washington, at a place called Titlow Beach Park. It's a marine preserve, so an area that you can't come harvest things. So we usually find a lot of cool stuff. Which right now,
this is a rock that's been flipped that needs to go back. You can tell because it's actually a piece of concrete, but there's no barnacles on the underside, and there are these tiny little beginnings of calcareous tube worms, and they only really grow on the bottom of rocks. But since this rock is flipped, I can show you some of the cool shrimp that are hiding in this little puddle. These are Sitka shrimp. Let's see if I can capture one or a few. Ooh, I got a couple.
Nice. They are very speedy little shrimpies.
Yeah, they're quick. So these are Sitka shrimp. They're a really common species, and these are mostly females.
How can you tell they're females?
They've all got eggs. So that little dark patch underneath their tail, so right here, you can see this one, and then this one. That dark spot is the eggs. Oh no, I hear the train.
Yeah. Females.
They've all got eggs. So that little dark patch underneath their tail, so right here, you can see this one, and then this one. That dark spot is the eggs. Oh no, I hear the train.
Yeah.
Shrimp out of the way.
Sorry, and I have to stand up. Lost connection.
It is the passenger train.
Take a look.
You're watching this from an Amtrak.
Yeah, if you're turning by. Okay, and that's all the train we get, thankfully. So, yeah. Quick train. Yeah, this is the bummer of
Giant sign that says
don't flip rocks.
This is a rock that's been flipped and should not have been flipped because it's way too big to carefully put back. And
Yeah.
so these little worms, this is a spaghetti tube worm burrow. They kind of make it with various bits of sand and shell around them. The orange on these barnacles is a bryozoan, which is a weird, cool animal that kind of encrusts along a surface. Ooh,
These are, it's just, there's some flatworms here.
A bit of moisture because this is a species that's normally down in the puddle.
Yeah, so
throughout
this
the
is
low
definitely,
tide. Look at them move now that they got some.
Okay, let's see.
Don't bend down too far.
Can you see? Unstable. Lost. Okay, hold on. Good connection. Okay, I'm gonna stand and zoom. Thanks, camera. The flatworm. It has eye spots. They're so cute. I think I see 4 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4. With more of that, I don't know. It's just like the little fingers of bryozoans.
Something.
Pretty cool. But yeah, so those flatworms, they do not like to be out in the sunshine. So
they don't have a whole lot of means for
important that this gets flipped back over. Thanks, Rachel.
Plus all the algae on the top surface needs to survive as well.
Yeah, because if it's under the rock, it's not getting the sunshine it needs to do.
Put it in the depression.
photosynthesis. Yeah. Saving the beach one rock flip at a time.
I probably just killed all those animals. Somebody else did it.
Yeah. And yeah, we are at Titlow Beach Park. Funny name for a beach. I wonder, do we know where Titlow Beach got its name?
Probably a white guy. I don't know.
Probably.
Isn't it always named after a white guy?
Yeah. We have some nice floating sargassum here.
Yeah.
This is a nice brown algae that looks, when the sunlight's streaming through it and it's floating because
you're
of all
swimming
these
and
tiny little gas balls, little floats.
Quite pretty.
Very cool.
We're starting to see eggs show up on those this time of year because a lot of the animals, once we hit spring, start mating and laying eggs so that the babies have a good chance of surviving, and there's plenty of plankton in the water for them to eat, and there's a little bit of strength in numbers there too. If every animal is having babies all at the same time, the predators can only get so full.
You can only have so many intertidal omelets, so. Ooh, yeah.
This is my favorite algae.
We're in somebody's neighborhood beach.
Oh, I love it. Come down and say hi.
Yeah.
It's so pretty.
It is so pretty.
Oh, I love it.
The red eyelet silk kelp. Oh, it is like prime seaweed time here because there's like that spring bloom of all these algae. It's looking real good.
Yeah, it doesn't get dark till like 9:30.
Yeah, it's fabulous.
Which is great for us.
Yep. Also, with all these hot sunny days, we were noticing a lot of this sugar kelp and
Oh yeah, see here's some red eyelet silk that's all bleached.
yeah, kind of the bleached out seaweed here. We saw with the sea lettuce turns white when it's
too
dead.
hot. Get ghost seaweed.
Zombie algae. I think this one, it's interesting. So I'm noticing this is that red eyelet silk kelp, but it's like, yeah, it's got the little bumps like Turkish towel. What?
Spore bearing form.
Yeah. Interesting. We're gonna do a little comparative red eyelet silk.
Like it's either really thin or it's really thick.
The more thin variety, and it's, what is it? It's like in the 3 something range right now where we are.
Yeah, it's about a negative like 2.5.
Yeah. And both Rachel and I are biologists, and we're just gonna show you this moon snail while the train goes by, so you get to wonder what the heck is going on here.
Come on, I get it wet.
Perfect.
Been munched a bit.
Nom nom nom. Yeah, where's your operculum, dude?
It's back there. Oh no, his operculum is gone.
Oh! This is
alive.
a sad moon snail. Rachel's smelling it.
Maybe it's not alive. I
Ew.
can't tell if it's just generally low tide. Here, take a whiff, Steve. Generally low tide or like a little extra.
Yeah. Either freshly dead or, yeah, I don't know.
That's how we tell things on the beach. Is it alive or dead? We'll give it a sniff. If it's dead, it's gonna be stinky. Ooh, what do you have? Hey, you've got a Donald. Where's the
Nice.
There's something. Hey.
Nice. Yeah, the birds are fun to watch because they definitely take advantage of the low tide as an opportunity to come by and find a tasty treat or two. They're going to be looking for crustaceans, so whether it's the shrimp we saw earlier or small crabs or even that fish that we saw got taken away. This is a good time. When the tide is low, the table is set kind of mindset here. And Rachel's finding another rock way too big to safely flip that was left behind, but you see all that seaweed on the top of it. You're so strong, Rachel. All that seaweed's now very happy. Hooray!
This is like a really pretty one.
Yeah.
I don't iridescent kelp.
Iridescent kelp, and you can even see that kind of rainbow, almost like oil slick sheen to this seaweed. That is part of its sun defense. So when we see this kind of blue shimmer, that's almost like the seaweed sunscreen. And all red algae kind of have this elastic feel to them, so almost it's like a huge rubber band here. That beautiful shimmer is fun to see, even though it looks like it's also bleaching out a little bit. Okay, thankfully the train is passing us by, so woohoo! Almost clear. A lot of noise here on the beach. Yeah, this is also a good beach to find octopus, although we haven't seen any yet today. I know Rachel found an octopus out at Penrose recently, and that's always a treat to see those animals. But yeah, we're seeing a lot of cool seaweed, which for Rachel and I, like, we just love seaweed. So maybe we're getting you all excited about seaweed too. Ooh, it's also very slippery. Yeah, it is a living thing after all. Oh, here's more of that. Yeah.
Why there are so many cool animals.
Very slippery. Yeah, it is a living thing after all. Oh, here's more of that. Yeah.
Why there are so many cool animals.
Very brainy looking brown algae. Pretty rad. And yeah, we are at Titlow Beach Park. Although Owens Beach is a really fun place. It's getting a little facelift currently, so there's a lot of construction. I don't even know if we can get to Owens Beach currently. I think it's kind of closed. But Rachel's getting, I assume you're not taking a picture of the bird poop.
No.
The pretty algae.
Bridges and the algae.
Yeah. Oh, here's a cool find. A little sea lemon.
A sea lemon?
Yeah.
Served us.
I'm trying to be careful.
Oh,
No,
it is a sea lemon. Good eyes.
this is a little sea slug. That yellow blob.
You want me to?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to avoid losing connection because
Yeah.
when we bend down in the rocks,
And this is one of the few slugs that you can.
yeah, they're pretty sturdy. So you can see its slimy
This is a slimy
foot.
I'm gonna let the foot attach to me a little bit.
We're getting some love for the sparkly nail polish.
Oh yeah.
Way to
My
prepare.
4-year-old picked it out for me.
All right, tell us about this cool slug.
I mean, it just looks like a little blob, but it's actually a really cool species of nudibranch, which is basically a snail or a slug that has, lost their shell and decided to become just totally soft. They get the name nudibranch because they have this plume of gills on their back, and nudibranch is Latin for naked gills. They don't have any hard shell protecting them or anything like that. Their gills just kind of extend up, and during low tide, that's the gill plume right there. So you're looking at the gills on their back, but they're
amazing.
all tucked in. You'll have to. Everybody's gonna
You'll
go
have to
Google
trust
sea
us.
lemon.
Yeah.
Because underwater they really do look like a lemon with a little poof on the top.
Yeah.
And we want to put this animal right back where we got it. So I'm gonna just carefully pull it
Can
off.
you look at its foot for a little bit?
Yeah, it's
Look at that suction.
sticking on there pretty well, but yes, I can gently peel myself off.
That nice
Little mucus.
slimy foot. Well done. For adhering itself to the rocks and sliming along the seafloor. There are a couple different species of sea lemons. There's the Monterey and the other one. And you tell them apart somehow.
One, it has to do with the pattern of black spots.
Yeah, does the black
Look
spot?
at this. Can you see on the gull's beak, the little red spot on the lower bill?
It's a little lipstick kiss?
Yeah, that little lipstick kiss is how the baby seagulls know where to aim. So they kind of peck at that, and it makes the parent regurgitate their food for them. Isn't that a cool little adaptation? What are you getting, Crow? Oh, he's getting sick of shrimp.
So I have a little fish too.
And it's not Are you eating them or are you just putting them in your beak? No,
Nom 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 nom.
You're eating them. Got a little lemon.
Yeah. Hooray for sea slugs on the seashore. See, the tide is really low. Oh, thanks for the gift there, friends. We appreciate that as a nonprofit. Every little bit helps for sure.
Looking for a good
Small rock, a rock that's safe not just for us to flip over, but also for the sea creatures under it. Yeah, maybe I can get a better view of that red dot on the seagull's beak. Of course, now it's holding something. Whee! Super zoom. Yeah, this is really a funny comment. I love it. It looks like there was a lettuce spill. Which is, yeah, so you pick up your romaine here. But yeah, this is just a sign that it is spring here in the Pacific Northwest. There's enough sunlight for all this seaweed to photosynthesize and grow. So in the later summer, it wouldn't be surprising to me to come to the beach and just see, if we did a little comparative, like photo now, photo later, just everything green. That really just does a good job in the sunlight. So see these old pilings here from, I'm guessing, what used to be a ferry of some sort here in Tacoma, Washington. I'm seeing some more of those moon snail eggs.
Okay, here's kind of a
Kind of a chunk of it. Yeah, Rachel, wanna flip a rock for us?
Wait. Oh no, it's just algae. I got excited. The red algae.
Oh yeah.
Like orange.
Okay. Here's what we got excited about.
It's something. No,
It's just
not.
seaweed.
Just seaweed.
It's kind of a pretty seaweed. Some crab bits. Woohoo! Oh, we know we're in a low tide zone because we have porcelain crabs.
Yeah, and this is a species I want to be really careful.
Sorry, friends. Good connection. Okay.
All right, we're back.
I'm just gonna zoom in.
Yeah, perfect.
Talk loud.
So this is a porcelain crab. They're not a true crab. Notice it has 3 walking legs and then 2 sets of pinchers and really long antennae. The antennae reach all the way past their body out here, and so that's how we know it's not a true crab, but it is a crustacean that's undergone what we call carcinization, which is just other organisms basically evolving into crab-like shapes because that's a really successful design. And so we see that with lots of things. Hermit crabs are a species that does that as well. Ooh, here we have a scale worm. So this is a polychaete worm. It's got many body segments and then these little kind of plates on its back for a bit of protection. And normally we see them living on another organism. So speaking of that, I do see another organism that I can show you, but I gotta put our rock back first. So the reason why we pick small rocks to flip is because
Rachel's able to fully pick that up, turn it over.
Back versus those larger rocks that you saw me re-flipping that someone else had overly, let's just turn all the biggest rocks on the beach and see if we can find cool stuff. You always want to put those back because the animals underneath are surviving, and really big rocks, when you put them back, can damage all the creatures that you just saw. So what a lot of people do is they'll flip a huge rock using all their muscle trying to show off the cool creatures, and what ends up happening is then they leave it because they don't want to smash the cool creatures they just saw, but that ultimately ends up killing the creatures that they just saw because they're not suited to that habitat, and some of them can't even move. So I did spy another creature down here though, so let me turn, I think I can safely turn this smaller rock over and show you.
Oh, nice.
This mottled sea star. Again, lots more of those porcelain crabs down beneath. More Sitka shrimp living down in the puddles. A little tiny bit of sponge here. And then this really pretty sea star.
Yeah.
Sea stars are kind of weird because they don't have a brain, they don't have any bones, and they don't have any blood. Instead of blood, they'll use seawater to power a hydraulic system. Inside their tissues, they kind of have like a water pump system. And this madreporite right here on top, that little yellow disc, is sort of how the water gets in there. It also can go through their skin, and they breathe through their skin as well. So this kind of nicely shows what gravity does. Gravity is pulling all the water down to this side of the animal's body. So up here we see more of the skeleton protruding. Down here the gills are kind of saturated, I guess, with the water around them. So when I put this back, I have to make sure not to smash this creature. Though it does have some pretty cool regenerative capabilities. We don't want to, we're Harbor Wild Watch, not Harbor Wild.
Can we talk about I mean, it has no brain, no blood, but it does have eyes at the end of each arm, which are kind of fun to talk about.
So there's a little eye spot at the end of each arm, and scientists for a long time thought like they can't see anything, but they've done some studies with some tropical sea stars in the coral reef habitat, and they can distinguish landmarks, and they know where they are based on what they see. So they basically took a bunch of sea stars and moved them around to different places to see if, you know, wherever they would go, what they would do. And they showed the ones that were moved away from their home, they didn't fare as well as those that could kind of orient themselves. So sometimes they just pick them up and give them a half turn and see if they're like, oh wait, the reef's on that side now. Which way do I go to get to safety? And look, our girlfriend is coming over.
Hey, girlfriend.
I wonder if... really... I wonder if the gulls have learned that people come and flip rocks and leave them disturbed on the beach. So we're going to put this rock back.
Yeah, and for those of you, if you're worried about our friend Patrick the sea star here, he'll be just fine. Or she.
Yeah, you can't tell with sea stars externally. There's no way to tell. No dimorphism there.
Yeah. So it's definitely a good...
Yeah, you can't tell with sea stars externally. There's no way to tell. No dimorphism there.
Yeah. So it's definitely a good. Yeah. Well, then sometimes it's fun. Oh, I'm standing and I lost connection. We also got some live music happening on the beach.
Jamming in the park.
Or in the park.
All right. I like it. Our tide is coming back. You can tell. Kind of the edge a little bit.
Yeah, and for a little more sense of place, it's fun to peek on over to the Tacoma Narrows Bridge. It's actually 2 bridges that span across the Narrows.
You may be familiar with Galloping Gertie, which is the original bridge that was built connecting Gig Harbor to Tacoma in 1940, and it fell down a few months after it was completed due to some high winds in the area that basically twerked and twisted the bridge until it collapsed. And it was called Galloping Gertie even before it fell because it had a habit of catching in the wind and kind of vibrating a little bit strangely. No one died when the bridge fell, except for one dog who refused to get out of the car. But everyone else made it out okay. But because of World War II, they didn't have the steel or the workers or the resources to rebuild the bridge until 1950, 10 years later. So they got a bridge, they had it for a few months, and then it fell down, they had to wait another 10 years. And then the new bridges were built, gosh, maybe 2007, something like that, 2010. I don't really remember. To alleviate traffic, because it was just a 2-lane bridge each direction, the original, and now we have a 4-lane bridge each direction.
Pretty nice. So yeah, that bridge connects Tacoma over to the Key Peninsula and Gig Harbor, the home of Harbor Wild Watch.
All right, and again, so I found another nice small rock to flip. We don't want to flip really big rocks because they can be dangerous for the animals, but the small rocks have quite often just the same amount of life.
What do we use as a size gauge to figure out what's...
And have a look. Oh, there's a big porcelain crab. Right here. He's like, I'm gone. Let's puddle here.
Let the dust settle.
Algae? Over. It's a little nerve-wracking reaching your hand into a puddle that you can't see into. Oh, lots of shrimp. Ooh, they tickle. Ooh. Yeah, lots of shrimp. Wow, there's probably 50 little shrimp in here. Of course, I can't catch any of them. Ooh, I feel them though. Hard not to shriek every time one comes along. Let's take a look at
The underside of the rock.
Because sometimes there's cool critters here. Mostly all microscopic little things. Alright, so let's carefully place that one back. Nice. If you tuned in for our live stream out at Penrose, you got to see.
Oh,
there's a
what?
starling.
Yeah.
What are you doing on the beach? That's a European starling.
Doo-doo-doo.
Not really what you think of as being a beach forager.
Yeah, it blends in really well, so
It does.
it's the moving rock.
Taking advantage of that.
I'm noticing this is a fun seaweed. This is the bull kelp, and this is just a little baby because it's spring. They're just starting to settle and grow, and this is a living thing that can grow over a foot in a day, which you can imagine the growing pains there. But it has that long stipe that can get over 100 feet long, the blades that do photosynthesis, and then the holdfast that keeps it attached to the rocks. So while it kind of looks like a plant's root, stem, and leaves, it is not a plant. Algae are their own group, and this bull kelp is one that makes up the amazing kelp forests that support all sorts of sea creatures. So cool to see, and not surprising to find it in a place like next to the Narrows, because there's plenty of current ripping through here, letting that kelp have its ideal habitat. Let's see. Rachel find something?
Yep, I found another couple rocks that got turned and not put back, so I'm going to write those, but the way that I could tell is algae growing on one side and nine. But there is a little shore crab here that I can show you.
Okay.
So this is a little shore crab. This one's a male. And this is a species that's safe to handle. I usually say if it's smaller than your thumb, it's not really a threat to you, although they can technically pinch. This species generally doesn't. But the thing with them is you want to keep them low to the ground because a fall, if you're holding them up high, even just a couple of feet is enough to damage them internally. They have a hard outer shell and two pretty seriously big pinchers in the front. Crabs have awesome adaptations for living under rocks or down in the mud because all their sensory organs are right at the top of their carapace. So they have eyes and antenna, and their mouth is all right there. They move sideways and they're very compressed top to bottom, so they can kind of squish underneath.
Yeah, do you mind getting a good hold of that crab and showing us how? Thanks. When I bend down, we lose our service. So there we go. We can see that really thin kind of tail flap tucked under the crab's belly.
Want me to show you that.
Being a little crabby. But because that flap doesn't extend over to the legs, we know this is a male crab. Female crabs have a much bigger, wider flap that holds their eggs.
So you need a bigger basket if you got a lot of eggs. Right?
Yeah. You can see those nice pinchers.
But yeah, let me turn this rock
cute.
back the way it goes, and then I'll put the crab back so that I don't squish it.
Yeah.
So sit tight there, little friend.
Perfect. Awesome. And for those of you, got a lot of Washingtonians tuning
All right.
in, wondering, what are the things that can hurt you out on the beach? And luckily it's not a lot. Yeah. The slippery seaweed, slipping and falling and scraping yourself on the barnacles is one of the big uh-ohs.
That's how I've been hurt though.
Yeah. Oyster shells have gotten me on occasion.
Oyster shells.
So
the
sharp.
worst accident I've ever seen. A kid nearly sliced his kneecap off.
Oh my gosh.
It was awful.
Intertidal scalpel.
My boss drove him to the hospital because they were
Oh my
they didn't
gosh.
speak English. And so we were trying to coordinate with 911 and everything. And he's like, "Do you want to go to the hospital?" And she was like, "Yes." And they just drove.
Zing. Yeah, and then there's some worms that I don't handle because they can bite you,
jaws.
and they can make your, necropsy.
Necrotizing.
Necrotizing.
Yeah, look at the starling.
Tissue damage. Zing! Hi, little starling.
To watch us start, like,
Woo!
bug
They're
eaters.
fast.
generally.
Which there have been a lot of kind of those like brine flies in this
True.
area, so
Yes, I guess they could, but like, I mean,
getting a
they're
hold of
not, like,
those. Yeah.
after a little bit.
Tingle for a bit. Wee wee. We cannot speak French, sorry. That's all I got.
Across to the other side where maybe
Yeah. Request to see the bridge again.
yeah.
There it is. Pretty beautiful. Little birds flying by. And yeah, just really thankful to have a nice group out here with us on the beach. That is a huge rock that's been flipped over. It makes
This
Rachel.
rock has been flipped multiple times in its lifetime.
Yeah.
This used to be the top. That's where the barnacles settle, but all these barnacles are dead. Which means this has been the bottom of the rock most recently. And then it
Yep.
got flipped again. So if there's any life on the other side, that's gonna get killed.
Yeah. It's a pretty
Do
bummer.
I flip it back? This is a big one.
That's a big one. You could also don't hurt yourself. This is where, and like a rock like this, like Rachel has to be careful, not like as you try and move that, you're like pushing your hands into these sharp barnacle shells.
It's really sharp.
I've had a lot of barnacle scratches on my fingers.
I have to like clear this one.
I'm also getting a low battery signal, so maybe we can end and then we'll teamwork, dreamwork this. But yeah, that is the Tacoma Narrows Bridge. It is a beautiful, kind of cloudy, but also partly sunny. Sun's shining through.
It's pretty warm. It's like 60 degrees maybe.
Yeah, it's a comfortable first day of May. So definitely thank you all for tuning in and for sharing this video as we're going along, and all your comments and questions and curiosities. We love the wonders. We want you to keep wondering as you connect with your natural places. You can even say, hey, there's a harbor seal. That little black swimming dot is a nice marine mammal. Amazing, but you really can't see it on the it looks like a dot. Hey, there's a swimming dot. But anyways, we're very thankful for you all.
It's 10 to 4 students, so we probably ought to
Boogie out. It's time to go to some garden parties, because Rachel, what's today?
Today is National Naked Gardening Day. In case you're so inclined. Don't get sunburned. And enjoy your naked gardening.
Yeah, and you saw it all here at Tacoma, Titlow Beach Park in Tacoma, Washington. So thanks again, and
Everybody.
learn, have fun.